Hey Gwenters, welcome back for another episode of Gone Gwenting. Today we're going to cover a monsters deck because it is Wild Hunt Wednesdays, but as proof that we're not wholly focused on Wild Hunt, I'm going to be running this organic removal deck. This is a bit different from many of the decks you might have seen before. We're going to be running Magic Lamp for points here, and then it's got the Kikimor Queen and Karen Thier package. But the thing that we're going to be doing a little differently, you'll notice we only run 13 units here, but we are going to run a lot of organic cards. And I have not really thought too much about this, but Arrakis Swarm will proc a drone every time you play an organic card to a random row. So we can get a lot of drones from it, but there's a lot of removal power here in monsters from organic cards. So just to showcase a few of these, Parasite, really good, 6 damage. You can also boost an ally by 6. Adrenaline Rush is going to boost an allied unit by 8 if there are no other units on the row. Works really well with this leader ability because you can just spawn one of these drones, boost it by 8, boom, you got 9 points on the board. And then you get another point for the leader ability. So it's 10 points you have out on the board. Really good play. Predatory Dive, we're going to kill the lowest units on our side and then proc another one. So can basically, if we have nothing on the board, it actually gets us 1 point and removes whatever they've put down. So we're going to run 2 of those. We're going to run 1 Hideous Feast, boost damage an enemy unit by 3, boost an allied unit by 3. And then I think also 1 Spore, 1 Arrakis Nest, and then 2 natural selections. So just running a lot of removal. I think that's kind of what the meta is right now. Otherwise, we'll be proccing a lot of Thrive boosts from these Drago Larvaes, Kikimor workers here. In large part just to get this Thrive triggered for Kikimor Queen. But Karen Thea really good here. And then Kayran to consume some of these units. Although I think actually here, what I would really recommend, and I just barely got the points for this, but I would actually swap out Kayran. If you don't have her, use Kayran, because a lot of people have Kayran. It's a much more flexible card. But I just wanted to get one more tutor for organic cards. I just had to open a bunch of kegs in order to afford her. I've been building a lot of new cards lately. But Wispest Tribute here is going to work really well just to get us a little bit more draw consistency. We're also running Oniromancy. And then we've got Ikarin, Glusty Warp. We've got Goliath, Armored Arrakis to do some damage. Behemoth to spawn some drones and boost. So just kind of a large insectoid package. And Draga Queen is really good on Ikarin. She'll give herself that armor and then spawn these drones per the amount of armor that Ikarin had. So lots of good options. So let's just jump into a game. And I actually think this deck could be played in seasonal, though I think it might be a little bit. There's a few things that could take a little bit of time, so you might not want to do that. But I think most people, when they see this drone deck, aren't expecting as heavy of a removal option. So I think that honestly gives us a leg up. Remember, I always like to do the unexpected, be the unexpected. I think that that's of larger value than it often gets credit for. Biggest things to look out for, I think, when you play this deck. One, the value of playing Karen Thier with a Kikimor Queen is phenomenal. You just want to make sure you have the right number of units on the board because it's automatically going to proc that unit. And this is unfortunate. We queued into a lockdown deck. But there is enough removal and enough power in this deck that I think we're actually still going to be able to take the win here. We get Oniromancy, we get Wispess, so we have a lot of options. We just have to be more thoughtful about our adrenaline rushes, and then we're not going to proc those drones every time we play. So, you win some, you lose some. But he's going first. We're going to keep this Predatory Dive. We'll keep this Hideous Feast. Adrenaline Rush I don't think is going to find as great a value. Natural Selection will be good. And then Arrakis Behemoth I don't think is going to find great value here either. I'm just really looking for that Kikimor Queen. That's who I really want out of this deck. But Goliath is a Death Wish card. So we can actually use Whispering Hillock to get out Goliath. That'll just thin our deck a little bit, and it's a pretty good play. But we can go ahead and wait and do that right here. I'm going to just use Natural Selection. We are just going to play Red Coin Abuse with this deck, especially against a Nilfgaard Lockdown deck, which usually thrives against Red Coin Abuse. We're just going to keep his points at 0 for as long as we possibly can. We have a lot of options to do that. So I think we're just going to kind of play around him for a while. The magic lamp does give him a few points on the board. It makes it so we have to think twice about our predatory dive, but it's fine with me. Not super concerned. There are no real good purifies in the monster deck except for the I'm forgetting her name, but the one vampire. You could run her if you wanted to kind of play against the poisons, but I think consume is a better way of dealing with it, if I'm honest. And here, let's go ahead and use Ikern. Now, if he plays like a double, if he plays like a Joachim into a different aristocrat, we could get poisoned and just lose Ikern altogether. Yen's Invocation is another option that he has, and that's fine. But I'm trying to move into this Hideous Feast onto this Daithwin. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and get out an Andrega Larva, actually. Because then we can play this Wispess and get 2 Thrives triggered. And then if you ever poison something, we can go ahead and use this Andrega Queen to get that. The other thing, too, people are very used to playing around Ikern. And so there's a lot of focus to get this Ikern out, right? To make sure he's getting the value he wants out of that. If we lose this Andrega Larva, it's not the end of the world. Much rather kill off that Ikern and stay in this match. As far as I can take him, that's where I want to be. I want to just really kind of draw down this deck as thin as I can get it. I think it'll give us a few more options. So out comes the Moral. He goes ahead and poisons. We're down by 16 points. We get 2, 3, 4, 10. So we can get 14. So we can actually tie that up. So here, let's actually just go ahead and use this. And we'll boost up Roderick, because why not? Just getting maximum value. I think he's going to play one more poison here, which is unfortunate, but not the end of the world for us. Good removal combo. So right now we're only playing 12 points with this Goliath play. So I think we're going to go ahead and take the pass here. Little tough for us to stick in this round. But he's used Moral, he's used Vincent, he's used Ball. He used Yen's Invocation. He used the Goliath already. I don't know how many great options he's going to have left. And we still haven't even played some of our really good cards. So I'm feeling okay. I'm not sure how much value Glusty Warp gets us in a lockdown scenario. Otherwise, he's worth a ton of points. We'll hold on to him and cycle back in. I think we'll probably keep Adrenaline Rush to play on Wispess. And Predatory Dive should work pretty well for us this first round as a heads up. If he doesn't use something, I think we can go ahead and put it back. I think if I'm going to put anything back, it's probably this. We'll keep Adrenaline Rush. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Well, I was hoping for something else, but Really want that Kikimor Queen to come into hand. Alright, so he's playing a double ball lockdown deck. Seems a bit risky if I was him, but certainly a choice you can make. So here I think we kind of just want to get Goliath out. And you could put in a few more Death Wish cards if you wanted, just so that you're not just getting Goliath. Plague Maiden was one I had played around with a little bit. She's just really expensive, so you lose out on some of your other removal. But that's certainly an option you can choose. Alright, this actually works for us. I don't mind pulling out his tallest unit here. Yeah, it's a Rot Tosser, so he misses value there. We get a drone out. We can still use this Adrenaline Rush on Wisp-Best Tribute. So we've got some decent cadence here. We're going to get a couple drones, so Glossy Warp can actually find some value if we need him to. Just glad this went to the melee row and not to range. That could have been really problematic for us. Infiltrator's a little annoying, but certainly not the end of the world. Now we just stay a card up on him, and I think we'll be okay. He did get what he wanted with this Aniromancy. He's going to get that next round, so he does get his ball no matter what. The question is, how many Aristocrats does he have left? He's up by 3 points. We're just going to go ahead and proc this. This should put us ahead by 1. And we can play right into this Glossy Warp. This poison's going to be annoying, but not the end of the world. I think we're going to get some really good value out of this Glossy Warp. Stay in this game. Now, if we do lose this Andrega Queen, it's going to be annoying, but certainly not the end of our day. We get the pass. Only downside now is that we're on blue coin, and this really is kind of a red coin abuse deck, especially if we can't get this Kikimor Queen into hand. But we did some decent thinning here. That Infiltrator is going to be the bane of our existence, and there he is. But we do get Kikimor Queen to hand. We do have Kikimor Worker. So I'm actually sitting pretty happy right now. And then we can use Spores to reset him last. Now the Spores is really good value in this deck too. You're gonna reset the enemy unit so long as it's finding 4 points of value. You're gonna get the provision value, and I think you often get more. But more importantly, we're also going to get some other one drone normally when we're not playing against lockdown, as we obnoxiously are now. Now, our question is, do we want to spawn this Armored Arachas or these Andrega Larvae? And I think the Andrega Larvae are actually going to be a little bit better value. But Arachas Behemoth is going to get us 3 units on the board. So, but I'm thinking let's go ahead and get those Andrega Larvae. I think they're actually going to be the best value we can get this game. Multiple thrives. They're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 times instead of just getting those extra points on that armored on this Arachas Behemoth. But a Behemoth could have been a really good option too. It would have given actually a few more targets. And now he runs into a situation where it's just really hard to keep up. We're going to put both of our queens onto this row, drop down Kikimor Worker, and it's just really hard to keep up with this deck. You know, Van Morlehem Hunter makes sense as the last one he's holding. I would have locked the Kikimor Queen, but we each get to make our own choices. I mean, I am going to proc it this turn, so we are going to get a lot of boost right there. So, and the point here too is every time its Thrive is triggered, it's going to boost all Insectoids. And you kind of want this like 2 point gap between each of them. That way you can boost the Kikimor Queen, boost the Andregalarva, and then get the alternating boost going as well. So really good value here with those thrives, and Kikimor Worker finding just some really good opportunity for us to get a bunch of points. And there's the pass. And we could have played this Spores. It would have reset that card. Would have been good, but I think going up against a lockdown deck, that's pretty much as good as you can get. But you can see really good red coin abuse deck. Decent heads up on blue coin in that final round, as you saw too. Let's get in and play one more game. Hopefully we can queue into somebody who's not locked down, just so you can see, I think, the true value of this deck being in those constant, persistent drone spawns. And you can play a red coin abuse play where you might play like a predatory dive to erase an enemy unit before you even have anything on the board. That's going to proc a drone, and then you table that right into an adrenaline rush where you boost up that drone, proc another drone, and it just kind of leads to this moment for your opponent. The one thing I would say to be worried about, their servers have had some problems lately. The one thing I'd say to be worried about is like a Great Swords deck with Morkvarg, Heart of Terror. Those drones do go to a random row. You want to make sure you're playing around that as best as possible. But because of how much removal power is in this deck, I think that you should still be able to play around it. I think it's just good to keep aware of those issues. We're going to try this one more time, see if we can get into another game. Other things you can think about with this deck. Obviously, it's not running Ozrel, but there is a Goliath and there is an Ikran. We are running Burbagazis. You didn't see those last game, but we do have the Consume in Burbagazi. That is a really good option. So that's something you can think about, though, is if you want to run those. I also recommend, if you're a beginner and you don't have many monster cards, Kikimor Workers are really good with regular ghouls. You can get some really good value there. Okay, so we are playing on blue coin, so this Arrakis Nest is a good value for us. Spores, probably not so much this turn. Adrenaline Rush, maybe. We might get that out just as like a first play. Hideous Feast is good, but not great. Better on a different play for us. Okay, and then I'm just going to put in Goliath because he's the Hillock proc. So here, actually, I'm going to just go ahead and pop this lamp and drop Adrenaline Rush on it. There's a decent chance it's going to get poisoned. But honestly, that's fine with me. I'd rather draw out his poisons in round one. I kind of have a different approach to this than a lot of people. I think a lot of people play around the opponent's choices more than I would. I think for me, the biggest thing I like to think about is what do I want to get out of a round three? And because I have such an engine-focused deck, I would really like to get the poisons out as soon as possible. Here I think we're just gonna go ahead for Andrega Larvaes. Also, they're a frequent poison target as well. So he's used his poison on the Lampkin. Again, good value, not a bad choice whatsoever. It's probably what I would have done. 13 points is 13 points. But I've intentionally kind of pushed him into making that decision so that I can get some of my points on the board. The other thing, too, and he is maybe thinking a bit ahead on this, the more he focuses on the poison, the more danger he's in missing out on his engines while I have my engines out on the board. So just something for him to think about as well. Now we do have Arrakis Nest. Let's go ahead and get out Wispess. And we're going to take one of our cards that is going to do enough damage. Parasite is probably our best choice here. And we're just going to erase this Passiflora Peaches off the board. Again, using our removal to pressure our opponent as much as possible. I just want to get these Andrega Larvae up to 2. That way I have some options with predatory dive. And then I think here we're going to go ahead and use Arrakis Nest. This is going to give us 4, plus we get an additional 1 with our leader ability. So just kind of pushing him, seeing what he wants to do. Now Saul is going to be getting him 3 points per turn, so that's just something for me to stay aware of. He is a decent bleed target, but let's go ahead and just get out. I think we're going to get out Goliath here. Mostly just so we don't run into a brick situation. I'd like to push him maybe one more play. So right now this predatory dive gets me one drone on my side. I lose a drone, so that nets out, and then I would destroy a 3-point card. So not the best value, especially since one of them could be flying Redanian. And since he has Saul out, I anticipate seeing that Saul stay there for some time. Alright, Greater Brothers is really good. I'm happy to see them making just a bit of a comeback here. Let's go ahead and get this Armored Arrakis out. We do get 10 points of bleed on Greater Brothers, just because they have a base value of 10. But we proc these 2 thrives. That gets us up by 8 points. And he's going to lose 1 and gain 3. So we've also forced out his Purify now. That doesn't really matter a whole bunch to us. We're not running a lot of bleeds or anything like that. And he's going to try to take this game down to the wire. Currently, this predatory dive keeps me in it. Also might trick him into thinking he has 1. I did take a risk there. But he's playing really hard here, so I think he has a little bit of anxiety, because he otherwise would have been able to make up enough points. We're going to drop Glusty Warp. Big play, gets us our thrives. We get a sense of how much he really wants to stay in this. Right now his Saul is only getting 2 points instead of 3, so he's going to go to 42. If he drops this, he could go up to 43, but then he'll only get 1 point. So he's got to kind of make some tough choices here. If he has 2 poisons, it'd be a decent choice to make here. But we're going to go ahead and pass. Played all the cards I'd like to play. And he doesn't have enough coins to just dry pass and take the win here. Not even to take a draw. So he does have to make a play if he wants to take this round. And he may very well want to. I see a lot of people, maybe just to kind of pass on words of wisdom during the downtime, but I see a lot of people misplay Glusty Warp, in my opinion. They wait for like a really ripe round 3 to play it. Don't hold on to him unnecessarily. I mean, think of him and others like him, those big point slam cards, as just good tempo. Just try to push out your opponent. We're going to put back Predatory Dive. We get Kikimor Queen. We're pretty happy with this hand. Now we can just kind of see what he decides to do. We can actually just use 1 Kikimor Queen this turn and 1 next turn. We have a lot of options here. We do see this happening a lot, and I think it's smart to try to attempt a bleed normally. And we don't have a consume for this Ikern. I think normally I would really like to see my Andrega Queen just to get the most value. Yeah, let's save it. Now he may just want to pass here. Wouldn't be the worst option. But Von Hurst is a really good option just for passive points. He's going to be getting 1, 2, 3 points a turn. So really good play for him. And this will take us to 9, 11 points. So not quite enough to keep us in it. So I think here we're going to go ahead and play Karen Thier with Kikimora Queen. We might have actually wanted to use some drones there. I'd like him to make one more play, and he does. It's Siri Nova. Really good play. Alright, so I think here he's still going up by 3, so he'll go 26. Okay, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 27. Oh, 29. See, do your maths. Oh, I gotta work on that. It boosts the Kikimora worker by 1 as well, which I had forgotten. And I forgot to count the Kikimora Queen. So those are my 2 missing points. We retain 3 charges. And we can play Ikran to get out of this round if we really need to. Becker's Dark Mirror, not the best choice in my opinion. We need to make 3 points of play. I think we've seen the poison enough, so we're just going to go ahead and drop this down. Well, let's think this through. We have at least one. We just have really like 1 proc here, right? Well, 2 procs. 2 procs. And this is a target that's probably too tall and too dangerous for us to just hold on to. So that gets us out clean. Might have been an overplay. If we were running Ozrol, I would be less concerned about making that play. But Siri Nova also means that his options are capped. Also means it's going to play right into a predatory dive for us. Maracas Behemoth is great here. We can play that with our abilities. Natural selection we probably don't need. Barbagazi is not going to be great. But probably better. Well, what are we missing? So Spores is probably like the one thing we don't want. And that's what we got. So. Oh well. But Predatory Dive finding great value. And it looks like we'll be playing to this row, so. There's no way for us to trigger this Kikimora Queen. And that's unfortunate. So Ikran might have actually gone better in this round, but we're just gonna have to see. At least we get final play. Ooh, Savola really good here. I forgot Savola was 9. I was thinking he was 10. I gotta go back and kind of like memorize these cards again. So lesson here is don't get caught in the situations that I get caught in. You know, we were close, but no cigar here. And you may just decide that this Arrakis Behemoth is just, you know, it's just not enough points for you. And that would, I think, would be a totally acceptable thing. I mean, basically you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points out of it. So you really have to keep at least 3 leader charges for it to find value. And the only value out of this sport is resetting this Kikamore Queen. So yeah, we did took a nasty loss there, but like you can see, no deck is a perfect deck. It would have been better to play on red coin. It is a better red coin abuse deck, so I think use it in that scenario, tweak it up, give me your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. Please like, subscribe, etc. Really helps the channel. And if you don't like this video, just let me know why. Let me know what I can improve next video. But until then, good luck on the path. Get out there and keep on gwenting.